Facebook. This is Emily Jashinsky, culture editor here at the Federalist, and Chris Bedford, senior editor at the Federalist. We're coming to you right now to preview night 2 of the Democratic National Convention 2020, Tuesday night. They actually have a pretty interesting list of speakers today, wouldn't you say, Chris?
I'm fairly excited about it. I mean, as excited as you can be for watching a long telethon mixed with a Zoom conference, mixed with something else. I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not exactly sure if Dr. Jill Biden is going to beat any kind of expectations for Michelle Obama, but here's rooting for
her. Jill Biden will be accompanied by Bill Clinton and John Kerry and AOC. Who am I forgetting? There's a real all-star lineup.
I've actually got a whole list for it, but I didn't pull it up. We have John Kerry, John Legend, of course. Wow, he's a legend. Chuck Schumer, Sally Yates. I'm not sure what exactly you are excited about here, Emily.
Well, I'm excited to hear Bill Clinton, honestly.
Really?
I think that's obvious. Yeah, of course.
You don't remember him?
No, that's the problem, right? That's what makes it exciting. Is Bill Clinton's just going to get up there. The reason they can have Bill Clinton at this year's convention, by the way, is because there's not going to be anybody to boo him. I mean, it's the only reason they can do it.
Yeah, I'm generally not excited to hear from former presidents of any party at any time, having heard them already for 4 to 8 years of my life. Although Jimmy Carter showing up tonight with his wife is really interesting. I'm wondering what he's going to do. One, because he's getting on in age, but also because Democratic Party conventions are not usually his bag. It's not the kind of thing that Jimmy Carter gets involved with. Well, he's been quick to criticize the current presidents, whether they're Democrat or Republican in the past, if they go astray of what he thinks is right. He generally stays off the campaign trail, possibly because he's not invited. This time he's been invited back, and he and his wife are appearing, and I'm happy to see what they have to say. And I don't expect it to be for them to speak for very long, but I'm sure this remote environment where you don't have to walk out and stage and deal with all the security probably lends itself to somebody who's much older to be able to tune in and talk to the nation.
Chris, you wrote a great piece about night 1 of the DNC, which was like watching paint dry. You described it as a Zoom conference call, but it was a Zoom conference call where they made you watch like the worst political ads in between your Zoom conference calls. So it's like being at work and then being inundated with terrible consultant crafted political ads. Tell us about what your take was on night 1 and what that means for what we can expect tonight, Tuesday, night 2 of the DNC.
So I was a little torn, and I know that the Democrats have been planning this for some time, and they have unlimited access to Hollywood. They've got all the budget they want, and they had all the time in the world if they wanted to. They had been planning a video conference for a while, whereas the Republicans just recently decided to do that because Donald Trump knew as a showman that a video conference sounds like a disaster. Now, instead of going with like a theater kind of production with the way these usually go, they went with more of a movie production, more of an internet production. And I'm not sure if there's any content that really would have saved it, although the content, in my opinion, was somewhere between boring and depressing. Because when they could either go with the old-fashioned way, like the governor of Michigan did, and Whitmer, and they can give a State of the Union response style address, which is always a disaster, or they could go all out, and they could be like the Speaker of the House of Maine, who was on an island in the Atlantic on the beach while a girl behind her sang songs about getting lost in Europe with her all white clothes fluttering in the breeze. I'm not sure that went over very well.
Don't you dare speak ill of Maggie Rogers. She is an American sweetheart.
Is she? Well, She was affected last night, very affected. To see John Kasich walking through fields of gold like he was in a Sting video was embarrassing, and it was distracting. And how could you possibly get a good speech out of this? We've seen the senator from Georgia who spoke, the Democratic senator from Georgia who spoke at George W. Bush's 2004 convention against John Kerry. You get the applause, you get the cheers, you get the boos. It's empowering. It's a viral moment as far as those existed back then. John Kasich at a crossroads looked like an old man with his first drone, and it just fails to move. I'm not sure how they could have made it better other than a live audience.
Well, so do you think that they were frantically reorganizing last night when they realized that it was a total dud? I mean, the broadcast really was a dud. I think it's important to remember that sort of like Beltway media people are not the intended audience. But even if you think about the intended audience, which is probably primarily, if you're the mind of the DNC producing and directing this, kind of those Rust Belt boomers, those few undecided voters. That's really the point. That's the only people that could possibly be persuaded by such a convention. And that's why they were running all of these former Trump voter things. That's why they were running all of these, hitting hard about Joe Biden's character and integrity and patriotism. And we saw this first 15 minutes of the RNC at the DNC where they were talking about Jesus and, singing the national anthem, which I thought the Democratic Party had decided was white supremacy. Do you think that they were like, damn, we need to go back to the drawing board when the curtain closed last night?
Well, I was surprised also to see the national anthem, but the best time to play the national anthem at a Democratic event is when no one's in the audience to protest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so they were actually able to get away with it. There were no one was able to boo the name Jesus Christ on national television. So use that opportunity to say a prayer right now and do it quick. I was surprised to see the Pledge of Allegiance. It was which is an old-fashioned 1950s style patriotic symbolism, and it was really wonderful to see that. They used to be common in the 90s and the early 2000s. John Kerry, remember, basically if he could have worn a flag dress to the convention, he absolutely would have. But that's I've been out the window, and yeah, we heard America the Beautiful. We saw the Star Spangled Banner. And then there was a large reach out to conservative viewers, conservative Democrats, to anyone who was a disaffected Republican, which according to the polling is not a lot of people, it seems.
Right.
But you look at the ratings afterwards, they were down about 30% from last year, from 4 years ago's DNC, which already probably is not a ratings monster. It's more news. And the leading cable news station to carry this was MSNBC, which is typically, second place by a long shot behind Fox News. Fox News had the lowest cable viewers in the hour that they carried this of any of the cable stations, and then CNN kind of took up the middle here. Now, this is a complete reversal of what we're used to. The people who are typically watching MSNBC and CNN are not disaffected Republicans or conservatives in the middle of the country. So I think that they failed in that mission. If they're able to pull this off to try and fix anything, I'm kind of doubtful. As we saw, Michelle Obama recorded her video at least a week, probably more in advance. Couldn't be bothered to re-record it on behalf of Kamala Harris. A lot of these things are pre-recorded. So trying to get a whole new program in 24 hours, no chance.
Yeah, that's true, because a lot of this, I think that was part of the problem, is that the stuff was pre-recorded to begin with, instead of having this sort of immediate feeling of seriously, have Bernie Sanders come in on a webcam or on his iPhone like he did with Cardi B. Right.
They have private jets. They hang out with each other in DC. There's no reason that they can't be there together on a stage with a theatrical production. Absolutely no reason why they need to record this in their home turf with their own backdrop. It doesn't make sense. This should be real. It should be visceral. It's a pep rally. It should pump you up, and it should not make you depressed. It should not be playing music. I know you like the girl. That could be to a Sarah McLachlan pet abuse commercial. This should be Kid Rock, rah, and it was completely lacking. It was night one. But usually you want to start with something that's a little more than not sad.
Okay, but so tonight we have AOC, and Bernie Sanders didn't, by the way, give a super incendiary, burn it all down, heighten the contradictions.
He called us all greedy, horrible kleptocrats and monopolists. He had a very dark vision of what America is.
American carnage. Well, the Trump message and the Sanders message sometimes overlap in very interesting ways, but I'm wondering what you think we're going to see from the slate of speakers tonight, because last night there was Lori Lightfoot and Muriel Bowser, but we've got tonight, I know.
Muriel Bowser, bane of my existence.
Well, so Muriel Bowser's speech, and we have a story up on our site about this. Muriel Bowser's speech incited opposition from the left because she took credit for that Black Lives Matter mural and Black Lives Matter plaza outside the White House. It's just, honestly, the nights that I have covered that protest, the Antifa protesters were more upset with Muriel Bowser than Donald Trump. I swear to you, they were talking way more about Muriel Bowser than Donald Trump. Anyway, given tonight's slate of speakers, what do you think people can expect? Are we going to see some of this more sort of there's no such thing as a red America or a blue America, we're all purple? Are we going to see more of Obama 2004 from the 2020 convention on Tuesday? Or are they going to slowly progress into the kind of slide into the far left ideology that is so consuming the party right now?
Well, given the main speakers, the most famous speakers are the Carters, Bill Clinton, Jill Biden. I think tonight is not the bring down the anvil night. It's not the bring the hammer down on the anvil night. None of those people are particularly interested anymore in slitting throats. Bill
AOC
Clinton
is.
can't. AOC is, but let's see how long she has. They give her allegedly they gave her 1 minute. We'll see if she's able to go beyond that. It's not like she could not leave the stage. It's not like they can play her off. They already have the pre-recorded video, I suspect, unless she's one of those people like Jim Clyburn who's going to talk in the moment.
Have you ever seen AOC on her Instagram Live? Like, I'm hoping she beams into the DNC tonight making macaroni and cheese or like assembling IKEA furniture.
And like showing absolute human wonder at some very, very mundane aspect of life outside of New York City. This is a toaster. I can't believe it. They make
cheese in plastic pouches.
Yeah, welcome outside of New York City, I guess. So I think cheese in plastic pouches is probably available there.
But do they use it? No.
Yeah, I couldn't speak to that. Fact check, I don't know.
I make a lot of microwave grilled cheeses, and I'm not ashamed about it.
Emily, that's disgusting, and I'm worried about you.
It's fine.
The biggest takeaway last night is something that that's so gross. The biggest takeaway.
I'll make you one.
No, thanks. No, I'll grill you one, please.
I drank your last beer in the office, so I'm gonna have to hit you back with a microwave grilled cheese.
Don't put that on Instagram. The most interesting thing I saw last night was Michelle Obama's slight of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden's campaign does everything they can to make people think that Barack Obama's like him and they respect him and they care about him. But it's actually kind of sad. They tweet that he's his best friend on Best Friend Day, which apparently is a thing for high schoolers and Joe Biden. And they're always saying, that's my good buddy, that's my good buddy. But Barack Obama not only never came out for Joe Biden when he was fighting for his life in this last presidential campaign. He didn't pick him. He chose Hillary Clinton the first time. He actually had his advisors this round constantly on the record. People like David Axelrod attacking Joe Biden as incompetent. Those guys are basically sock puppets on these matters. They're not allowed to say things that go against God Emperor Barack Obama. So to see Michelle Obama pre-record this video and then to have what we're told is an historic choice, the daughter of two immigrants, one from India, one from Jamaica, come up there and be the vice presidential nominee, this woman of color who's going to help restore Barack Obama's legacy along with the man who was by his side, his best friend. She can't even be bothered to re-record a video on her home to include Kamala Harris in this. They have no care at all for Joe Biden, it seems, Kamala Harris, and the public shows of disrespect are not going to end. Barack Obama, he's political. He was raising money for Joe Biden last night. He'll walk the line, but Michelle Obama seems like she's not willing to play ball with this new team. I don't think that she thinks anyone is going to be as good as her husband or as good as she was. And like she said when they ran the first time, she'd never been proud of her country until her husband was running for president. Very good of her.
The broader electoral, I think, relevance of that point is this convention is clearly geared towards changing hearts and minds among those kind of Obama-Trump Rust Belt voters, the type of people in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, maybe Ohio, who voted for Barack Obama and then voted for Donald Trump to kind of upend and disrupt the system and to bring about, you could say, hope and change. But people were sick of the status quo. So when you have, splinters in the Obama-Biden coalition, is the party going to have a hard time, based on what you've seen from this convention and what we can expect to happen tonight, actually moving hearts and minds with the voters that they need to reach? Because when I was watching last night, tonally, the national anthem, which again, I thought the Democratic Party had decided was white supremacist, and talking about our founding documents written by what I believe the Democratic Party had decided were whites, who I believe the Dems had decided were white supremacists. Talking about those things, it seems like they finally have gotten their stuff together and know how to reach the voters that they need to reach to sway an election. And like you said, they're only getting away with it because there's no live crowd and there's no 1968 atmosphere where people can erupt into riots and chaos. But given what you're talking about, is this convention going to do anything to move those hearts and minds?
Only if they're tuning in. And fortunately for the Democratic Party, I don't think the rioters are tuning in and watching it. So maybe this is going to go over their heads that the Democratic convention so far, we'll see what happens tonight, has been everything that they're against. So the question is going to be, does anyone tune in? There's always a wonder on if a convention of any kind has any kind of real impact on the actual election, or if it's just a beltway thing. There's typically a quick bump in the polls and then it kind of settles down. But there is something, the main thing the conventions typically do is invigorate the party faithful and get the base excited and get them moving. And whether
Messaging
it was
tightened up.
Yeah, it has to be tightened up a lot. And the base right now, based on what the Democrats are doing, is not invigorated. For the last couple of months since Joe Biden got the election, it's been surprising to see him continuously veer to the left. He has not yet tried to consolidate the entire country. He's making the bet, he could actually be correct on this, that he can win this election only with people who hate Donald Trump and Democratic Party faithful. That might be true. Donald Trump is a great motivator of emotion, but I think the convention is too little too late if he's starting to have second worries about that strategy.
Okay, great. Well, Chris, thanks so much for joining us. Everyone, keep tuning in. We're going to continue to bring coverage digitally from your Federalist favorites here on Facebook, on YouTube, which you should subscribe to our YouTube channel, on Instagram, and everywhere else. So stay tuned. Enjoy the show, even though you almost certainly won't. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. And I'm going to teach you how to make a grilled cheese sometime.
I know how to make a grilled cheese. I just
Obviously
sometimes
not,
only have a
because here we
minute,
are.
so I pop them in the microwave.
You should just eat a piece of cheese then.
It's not bad. I think you'd be surprised. Well, sometimes I do that too. You just put 2 pieces of cheese on 2 pieces of bread and you have your cheese sandwich, but sometimes you want to put that in the microwave. I don't care.
Enjoy tonight.